Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the July 9th, 2025 City Council work session. Thank you for joining us in this virtual meeting format. For work sessions like this one, there is no opportunity for public comment, and those wishing to access the meeting can do so by watching the live stream available on our website, the broadcast on Comcast Channel 21, or by calling into one of the meeting phone numbers listed for this meeting on the public webcasts and meetings materials webpage of the City of Eugene's website. Thank you again for joining us today. I now call the July 9th, 2025 work session of the Eugene City Council to order. Before we begin, just note for council of a lot that we're going to be taking in today and working through today. And my thought is that as we are having conversations with each individual firm, to have those rounds be 1 minute and 30 seconds so that we make sure to move through all the questions and then to hold that same minute time as we move into our deliberations for the final 30 minutes, knowing that that discussion will be very rich. So with that, I will turn it over to Assistant City Manager Christy Hammett to introduce our topic for today. First interview.
Thank you, Mayor. Happy to be here and sitting in for City Manager Mederi today. Today, Council continues their work to hire a new City Manager. Really appreciate the efforts that have gone into helping continue to keep this process moving. Last month, Council chose to have a committee made up of Councilors Evans, Leach, Zelenka, and Ye to narrow a pool of recruitment firms to lead this national search. They reviewed the letters of interest from 15 interested firms and interviewed 6 of them last week and narrowed that pool to 3. And that is the folks that you will hear from today. That includes WBCP, CPSHR, and Bob Murray and Associates. Once council identifies the firm that they want to work with, staff will move forward with executing the contracts, and they will begin launching the conversations that they'll be having with you and other stakeholders across the system as we move towards interviews. Hi, Counselor. No. With that, I'm going to turn it over to WBCP and
I unmuted now?
Yeah, you're unmuted.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Mia?
Yes.
I can see you. I can't hear you.
Oh, shoot. Can you hear me, Councilor Evans?
Wendy, honestly, this is an anomaly. Honest.
Mayor,
Christy, I'm having Sarah McKinney problem solve in the background. She's going to reach out to Councilor Evans, see if we can figure out.
Still muted.
How about on his phone?
We might have him sign out and then try to sign back in with the link that he received.
Okay. Mayor, would you like me to start the first? Okay. We will launch into the first interview session, and I'll turn it over to you, Wendy. And just a reminder, it's 30 minutes, and I'll remind you at the 3-minute mark where we're at.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, council members. Thank you, Christy. Excited to be here. I've also got Levi Coleman here. I've got a presentation I'll be sharing and walking everybody through. And then I'll be turning it over to Levi periodically to answer some of your questions as well. The other thing I should let you know is you might hear a little bit of background noise, and I apologize for that, but I have a flight that is boarding in about 30 minutes. So in fact, Levi might need to take over the very end of the interview process. So thank you so much for the opportunity to connect with you. Am I okay to share my screen? Great. Can you see my PowerPoint? Fantastic. Okay. So I'll talk a little bit about who we are. So quick background on myself. I'm the president and CEO of WBCP, also one of the executive recruiters. I will be the lead recruiter on this recruitment with Levi's support. Levi and I both live in Southern Oregon. I've been in Southern Oregon for over 20 years, and originally started my career in California. I worked in started my public sector career at the County of Orange in the CEO of Human Resources Department. And I was supporting recruitments across 25 decentralized departments, as well as doing all of the department head recruitment. So helping out with the lower level hard to fill positions as well as executive positions. And took that into my own career, my own business 21 years ago, moved to Southern Oregon at that time and have continued to grow the organization. We have about 25 employees, about 7 executive recruiters. We're uniquely organized in teams. Each of us have a project manager and as many as 5 people working for us at any one time. And we'll talk a little bit more about some of that, but that includes a centralized marketing and communications team, as well as a centralized sourcing team that is supporting all of our recruitments we do at WVCP. We're currently in several states, but really focused on the West Coast. Why choose WVCP? I'm a 100% women-owned business. We support Oregon. We always have. We have most of our employees are also Oregon employees that are in our Rogue River office. We clients, candidates, and HR teams really enjoy working with us. We take the heavy load off of HR teams to make sure that we're coordinating all the panels and helping consult and work through all of the details with the council. However, we also recognize them as important partners throughout various parts of the process, so we want to make sure that they're involved. Our candidates have constantly recognized, they have said that they've worked with lots of recruiting firms in the past and have really enjoyed working with us and have had one of the best experiences. That's because we communicate with applicants, whether they're good, whether they're ideal or not, on a regular basis, and respect them regardless of whether or not they are top candidates. And of course, clients, we highly recommend that you check our references. We have excellent references and nearly 100% success rate in almost every year that we've been in business in filling positions, as well as a guarantee. We are expert consultants and culture cultivators. So what that means is we are really able to help you out through each of the process, design and coordinate a framework of the recruitment that's going to be best for you. That includes both internal as well as external stakeholder engagement. But there's various processes and details, even down to the negotiation process. And so we are excellent consultants, and we really help you think through the culture cultivation part to make sure that we're inclusive and engaging as much and as inclusive as you would like it to be. I also want to mention that we went through a competition about a year ago, actually just in January, that we got our contract final. We were competed for a national contract with the National Association of Counties, and we're selected as a sole source contract. So all cities, counties, and special districts can now go direct to service without having to go through an RFP. So we have a piggyback contract with San Diego for a master service contract for 5 years. So we beat out every national firm in that process because of the stellar record that we have and the references and resources we have. We have a vast network, tens of thousands of contacts, but also should mention my background before I got into public sector recruiting was in marketing, branding, and communications. And so all of our team members have been very focused on that. Recruiting really is marketing. It is reaching out to a target audience. It's compelling them to want to move in a certain direction, which is apply for your position. And also project management throughout the recruitment process. So that's a little bit about some things that I think are different about our firm. And of course, we bring great candidates. So can't forget that. We have a great process that we'll talk a little bit more about, that we make sure that we are vetting the candidates very well. I know I only have 8 minutes, so I want to quickly go through this so I can answer more detail. We could have a very involved stakeholder engagement, where some clients are less interested in that. I'll just give you an example with the city of Pasadena when we did their city manager recruitment. It's a very engaged community. We had both in-person as well as virtual meetings. I had over 100 people actually attend and televised in our in-person meeting. You can look it up on Google. We also did many individual meetings as well as group meetings, and really designed it based off of their custom needs. So we also did surveys. When we did the police chief for the city of Sacramento, we actually did surveys to the community, and at the time it was during COVID and a lot of interest from Black Lives Matter. So we did many different surveys in multiple languages as well. So we can do the engagement piece the best way that it fits you, as well as provide recommendations as well. All of our recruitments are done based on competencies. So we identify both the technical and interpersonal strengths that you're looking for and measure people against that throughout the recruitment process, all the way through final interview questions. We have, of course, the strategic marketing campaign, which we'll talk a little bit more about that. And then we have the candidate screening process, which includes both the paper screen. We conduct video screens with our candidates before we present them at a shortlist. We do panel coordination, question development, as well as any other things that you need. And one thing you should know about our background reference check, the former police chief in Grants Pass is on our team. He's been working for us as a consultant for the last 10 years, doing all of our reference checks, and he does a fantastic job. We can do a deeper dive as well and an investigative background process if desired. So there was some interest in seeing the recruitments that we've done. If you add in our executive director as well as CEO positions that we've done for nonprofits, this list is about 50. But this is the list of recruitments we've done. The most recent one we did was the city of Santa Monica. Very successful recruitment, very happy with our services. They would love to give us a reference if you wanted to give them a call. Pasadena was a reference to them, and they said they chose us because of the reference that Pasadena gave us. So we have really stellar references. The other thing that you should note is we don't want to keep people in an applicant pool for a long period of time. We start to lose them. So we're very fast at getting through a recruitment process, but not because we're cutting corners, because we have that 5-member team that's working in lots of different directions at any one time. We're able to get a lot done in 4 weeks. So depending on what that looks like, if we open it on week 2, we have the recruitment open for 4 weeks. Usually our shortlist is on about week 6 or 7, depending on the client's availability. And then depending on how the interviews go, virtual versus in person, we'll talk about that once we get together, if we get a kickoff meeting, about what the recommendations might be or opportunities for doing those things are usually somewhere between week 8 and 10, depending on what we decide on. And then final background and offer stage negotiations are between week 10 and 12. So boots on the ground could be another 4 weeks from there, depending on where the person's coming from, but usually 4 to 6 weeks if there's somebody relocating from the area. Is there a time check? I just saw you pop up. Christy, so I wasn't sure if you wanted to give me a time check or not. Okay.
Not yet. You're doing great.
So,
Doing great.
okay. We have 5 offices across California, 2 in Oregon. We have a satellite office in Dallas, Seattle, and Jacksonville, North Carolina. So to get into a little bit deeper dive in regards to our comprehensive advertising, before I get into that, I want to talk about branding. So whether you like it or not, your recruiter is actually branding you as an employer choice. So it's really important that they recognize the importance of how to brand you. We do that through many ways. Of course, the pretty part of that is our marketing materials, which we'll talk about in a minute. But really, branding is about an emotional experience that somebody has with a brand. And it's not about necessarily just the marketing. That's the nice, pretty part of it. So what you should know is we take the emotional experience that people have working through us in supporting you very serious. And then we talked a little bit about that earlier, about how candidates, but also your constituents, your staff, and of course yourself, and how you experience the process. We want to make sure that everybody's had a very enjoyable and positive experience throughout the process, and we have had great success with that. So just to quickly highlight, our comprehensive advertising campaign will include print. We also spend about $80,000 a year on different subscriptions for AI, an AI platform. Each of our recruiters are LinkedIn recruiters. It means they can do Boolean searches through LinkedIn, have access to 350 million profiles. Although city manager recruitments are pretty easy to get because there's a lot of associations by every state. So contact information is fairly easy, but not the email and phone numbers. Those are very protected these days when you're purchasing lists. or sourcing lists. So our AI platform has been really a game changer with regards to our ability to be able to get emails and phone numbers to reach out to ideal candidates and get their interest. We also have a consultant who is a former city manager in Oregon who works with us for Oregon placements because she has such a vast connection on the West Coast, and she would be supporting us in this recruitment process as well. We have our centralized marketing as a social media coordinator. We also have Circa, which we'll talk about in a little bit. They own 600 different diversity job boards. We have a subscription with them. If you post with us, it goes out to 600 different diversity job boards, as well as a smattering of their 20,000 affiliate organizations. So email, LinkedIn, associations, other lists, phone calls, and of course, 20 years and thousands of contacts that we'll be leveraging for this recruitment. So just to give you an idea of our recruitment announcements, because we have that branding and marketing background, we want to make sure that you know that we're going to really be able to look at what makes Eugene special. We have a pretty good insight into what is very unique about Eugene, but we'll be looking for you to be able to help us make sure that we're branding you well. We are not cookie cutters. We don't just put in there what we've done with the last recruitment. We really customize every marketing material to make sure that we're selling you as an organization that brands you well. Here's an example of Pasadena city manager recruitment. Here's another for the city manager of Santa Monica, very beach community, so we wanted to really highlight some of those things. And of course, the city manager's office had focused a lot on some culture areas of focus. So we put those in those brochures. Anytime we can link information that the city's been very involved in to make sure that you represent culture or anything else that's going on, we will make sure that that's in the brochure as well. City manager position for the city of Ventura. And then lastly, one of my favorites I think we've ever done is Oxnard. I like the others for Oxnard. All the way through for the picture. So you see that we really try to do the best we can to represent you.
Wendy, thank you. We probably want to make sure that the council gets a chance, the mayor and council get a chance to ask you
Okay.
questions. So
I'm going to quickly flip through these slides in 30 seconds. This is just Circa. What you can also count on us is that you'll get great documentation. This is an example of a survey result. This is an example of our sourcing. We'll tell you how many emails we sent out, phone calls we've made, emails last week sent out, social media extent. We'll have an EEO report. Each time we do an interview, if we have panels, we'll collect the things that they really liked about the candidates, any questions or concerns, and develop customized questions based off of that information. And we already talked about our background and our strengths there. So with our police chief. So thank you so much for your time, and we will turn it over to you to ask questions.
Thank you, Wendy, for that presentation. Thank you for your team at WBPC. Now open the floor for council discussion. And just a reminder that we are limiting these rounds to 1 minute and 30 seconds. And these are specific to this interview team. Councilor Zelenka.
Yeah, you went through this kind of fast. Wendy, can you tell us how many city manager recruitments you've done in the last 2 years?
In the last 2 years, I'm gonna take. I think it's about 10.
And where were they predominantly located?
California and Oregon.
Okay. Thanks. And if you're available, we could hire you as an IT person. Well done.
Councilor Kaczynski.
Can you, thank you so much for the presentation. Can you talk a little bit about how the sort of initial stakeholder engagement process works, like what that kind of looks like?
Sure. So in our kickoff meeting, that's really the place that we'll provide at least a template framework of what we think that we'd recommend for a recruitment like this. And one of the first questions we ask is, what does stakeholder engagement look like? And then we give a list of different things that you might want to think about with regards to stakeholder engagement. For this recruitment, that would probably include a community survey, an all-employee survey, a department head meeting, either individually or as a group, usually it's as a group, with individual people who can't maybe make it or don't want to be in a group. And then there might be some community interest. So the university or the Chamber of Commerce or maybe there's 10 to 20 other people. When we did a recruitment for the city of Sonoma, there was a lot of nonprofit interest at the time. It turned out there was about 40 different people that council wanted to reach out to. So we offered 2 different times for them to connect with us virtually. And so we did that in a group. So it'll be individual one-on-one, so 15 or 20 minutes, as well as potentially group meetings, really depending on you. So we'll be looking to finalize that stakeholder engagement depending on how interested you are and whether that should be in person or virtual, depending on the group. So usually it's a community meeting as well, whether it's virtual or in person. Even if we do a survey, that's usually an interest. It really depends. So we'll be looking for you to finalize that, and we don't have a limit on how much stakeholder engagement we do.
Thank you very much.
Councilor Groves.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Wendy, for the presentation. In looking at the market for city managers, would you say there's a lot of qualified candidates out there right now? Is it a scarcity situation? What's the market? What is our experience going to be with the market?
Yeah, I'm going to let Levi add as well, because I want him to be able to talk. But I think it's a pretty good market. I mean, city managers, unfortunately, in today's world, are on average 3 to 5 years. If you looked at ICMA's recent statistics, ICMA is the International City Managers Association. It's 3 years average. And it's not necessarily always because people are leaving. Councils change, boards change, and people want to have a different pick. But because of that, there's a lot of people looking. Eugene is an extremely attractive community, and the state's a beautiful state regardless. And I think that Eugene provides many things that a city manager would be very attracted to. So to answer your question specifically, I don't think there's a shortage of city managers that would be interested in this position, and they're usually in transition or looking to leave to come to a city like Eugene. Levi, did you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, and maybe to provide some specific examples. So for the recruitment for Tillamook, for the city manager for Tillamook, as well as Santa Monica that we just wrapped up, for Tillamook, we did have 60 applications. About 20 of those individuals, council, we brought forward to council for consideration during the shortlist meeting, and then they moved forward with about 8 individuals with a few backups to the first round of the interview process. With Santa Monica, we had, I think it was close to about 300 applications, and then about 30 to 35 of those initial applications we presented to council, and they made decisions based on those individuals with all the information that we provided with them around that 7 to 8 candidates as well for the first round.
Yeah. And just for clarity, we phone screened about 35 to 40. We brought forward about 20 because they were actually looking to also want to interview or potentially interview private sector. So it was a unique recruitment.
Mayor, thank you. Do I have a time for a second short question?
You do?
Wendy, what has your experience been with communities that have universities in them?
Communities with interview. Well, we've done lots of recruitments with communities with universities in them. For city manager, Levi, can you think of?
I would say for the size of the university that University of Oregon is, I'm not sure if there's a larger city that we've worked with a larger school, but there have been plenty of more, D2, D3 universities, community colleges. I mean, for Tillamook, I met with their community college, their president, to talk about, what he would like to see out of the next city manager, just as an example. But off the top of my head, I don't think we've worked with a community with a larger university than the U of O.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, not for a city manager, but yeah, certainly County Sandy. I mean, there's many cities and counties we've worked with, but not for necessarily this large of a university for a city manager.
Councilor Clark.
Thank you, Mayor. Wendy and Levi, thank you very much for your presentation. 2 of the 8 members of the council, 9, including the mayor, have been through the process before of hiring a city manager, a new one. The rest have not. As a consultant, what do you recommend to the counselors who make the final decision is the most important criteria to be looking for in a candidate, or the most important set of criteria is to be looking for in a candidate, from your point of view?
Well, most people don't want to hear my point of view. My job is to make sure I get your point of view. But just so you know, our job is to find out what you're looking for. If you were to ask my point of view, most people are looking for somebody with experience, especially for a size of your community. Ideally, somebody who has worked in a town with a university, because that is quite unique and it makes it a little bit different. Economic development and financial background are usually really strong competencies, technical competencies people are looking for. But really what it comes down to is we can find a lot of people who have all the right technical background and experience. But what it comes down to when it gets to the interviews, if we've done our job, and we always do, it comes down to the style and the cultural fit factor. And that's kind of hard to put your finger on because those things come out of all those conversations, both with you as a group and individually. We'll want to have one-on-ones with you, but also because it's just at that point, we're going to have a great candidate pool, and you're going to have a great opportunity to be able to really find the right person that's right for your team, right for you, and right for your community. And that can include a lot of different things. Somebody who's usually communicative, available, present, responsive, out in the community, really great support for you, a great buffer between staff and elected officials to make sure that they're doing a good job of managing that. So there's a lot of things that'll come out of the communications we have with you on the interview.
Thank you.
If I may, Wendy, add on to that, I think it's also really important for somebody to be really engaged with your community. Not somebody that lives an hour away or is interested in a hybrid work schedule. Somebody that can go into a grocery store and be able to represent you as a council, represent the staff and the city as a whole, and just be a friendly smile to the city and the organization. So just wanted to include that.
Thank you.
Councilor Zelenka.
Yeah, I meant to ask this when I asked. Of the cities that you've done city manager recruitments for, what size are they? What's the largest one you've done recently, in the last 2 years?
In the last 2 years, I would say that's probably Santa Monica, Levi. Santa Maria was 100,000, maybe 150,000. Santa Maria. I would have to go back to that list again. I can take a look here. But Levi, are you? Any others that you can think of?
Yeah, I think we did one of Long Beach's assistant city managers. That was about 500,000 to 600,000. But I think Santa Monica is going to be the largest in population size.
I think. Yeah.
Okay. Thanks.
I can't remember now. I think Ventura and Oxnard were both about 100,000.
80 to 100. Yeah.
Council, any other questions? Seeing none, Wendy, Levi, thank you to your team. Thank you for taking this time with us today. And we appreciate your answers and engagement with the council in these discussions.
Thank you so much. We're very hopeful we'll be able to work with all of you. And thank you, Mayor. Thank you, council. Thank you, staff. We really appreciate all the communications and your support throughout this process. And look forward to hopefully working with you all. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Mayor, let me know if you're ready to roll into the next interview.
I think we're pretty close to on time and ready to begin interview 2.
Wonderful, thank you. Pam, I'll turn it over to you. And also just a reminder, we have 30 minutes and I'll give you a reminder of the 3-minute time frame.
Great, thank you so much. Well, good afternoon. We're so pleased to be here to be speaking with you. Do you mind if I share my screen?
Please do.
So thank you for having us here today. We're with CPS HR Consulting. We're based out of Sacramento, California, although I am a resident of Sutherland and have been here the last couple of years. My daughter went to SOU and has been here now for almost 10 years. Fell in love with an Oregon boy, and my dad retired to Gold Beach about 17 years ago. So we spend a lot of time in the area. And of course, I use the Eugene Airport we're in Eugene, once or twice a month. I use the airport on probably almost a weekly basis. And so with that, I'm going to turn it over to Teddy Anderson just to quickly introduce herself, and then we'll get started really quickly.
Hey, Teddy Anderson. I've had 30 years of local government experience, 20 of those roughly in Oregon, conducting a number of executive searches from just a client perspective and also from an executive recruiter. Happy to be here.
So, first of all, we wanted to address our qualifications. Teddy and I are both long-term public agency executive recruiters and HR professionals. I am in my 22nd year just at CPS. I manage the executive recruitment function. And prior to that, I worked for Yuba County, small Northern California county, as the aide to the Board of Supervisors. And then I also served in other agencies over the first 15 to 20 years of my career. So most of it has all been in government. And we feel like that really makes a difference, that we have been employees of local government. We understand it inside and out. Teddy, let's talk a little bit about your experience.
I started out as a police officer in 1994-ish and then went to HR in 2006. Have done a number of, obviously, executive level recruitments from a HR manager role, but also partnering with consulting firms such as ours on those searches. I do a lot of work with on salary compensation. I do labor relations work. Capitalizing on my law enforcement experience in the past, and I'm a servant. I'm a public servant. I see myself as an extension of all my clients, and I think it really helps to have that background on understanding the cities, understanding what the city manager is responsible for, and I've worked very closely with a number of city managers on projects, but also on executive searches as well. Thank you, Pam.
So secondly, CPS HR Consulting is a California Joint Powers Authority. So we are a quasi-governmental agency.
At the tone, please record your message.
I'm sorry, can everyone still hear me?
Please continue, Pam. Sorry about that.
I'm sorry. So we are a governmental agency. I believe in Oregon we call them intra-local government agreements. We were originally part of the State Personnel Board many, many years ago. And in 1985, we were spun off as a JPA. And so we celebrated our 40th year as a company this year. 25 years of those, we've been doing executive search. As I mentioned, I have been here 22 years, 22 plus, actually. And so we always feel that differentiates us a bit. We're all employees, full-time employees, rather than being a sole proprietorship. And our mission is the promise of the public sector. And so, as Teddy said, we are mission driven. We are, public servants, and we see that as a difference in our organization. Over the last 5 years, we've done more than 100 city manager, CEO, executive director, general manager, so board, council, appointed recruitments. The past 5 years, that's included about 24 city managers. The last couple of years, you mentioned the question, we've done, I believe, 6. So our process, phase 1 would be speaking with each city council member, the mayor, having those one-on-one conversations with you about what you're looking for, what are the things that you'd like to see the city manager working on over the next few years. Obviously, talking to you about what type of engagement process you'd like us to employ. Currently, I am doing the City of Sacramento City Manager search, and we had a very robust engagement process. We did 4 in-person community meetings. We did 2 virtual meetings. We also deployed a community-wide survey, online survey that we received over 400 responses to. And so we have a, depth of experience in those types of recruitments where we're doing extensive community engagement. We also spoke to, I believe it was 13 different CBOs, nonprofit types of organizations, the Sac Metro Chamber, where we had individual conversations with them via Zoom. That those were recommended by the City Council, organizations that they'd like us to speak with. And then all of that was compiled into a very comprehensive report for the council. Teddy also did an executive salary study for that position. It hadn't been done for a while. It did result in the salary range being moved up about, it was between 5 to 7%. There'd been a lot of negative media in the Sacramento Bee about the former city manager's salary. And so it was really important to be able to bring that type of expertise and show that we had done the comps, and we did total compensation packages as well. And so in that first phase, really the biggest part of it is maybe we do an executive study. We're having all of those conversations with you, and then we conduct that community engagement process. Also in that first phase, then after we've gathered all of that information, then we create the marketing materials, which includes our recruitment brochure, the ads, decide where we're going to place those ads, etc. Phase 2 is that executive recruitment process. Teddy, you want to talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, let me just touch also on the engagement piece. The survey we also had translated into different languages based on the community and the diversity of the community, which were really important so that we could get their participation. And also the outreach included internal and external stakeholders, which was really helpful as well. From a recruitment perspective, being aggressive, assertive, we start very early doing that, even while we're planning the rest of the recruitment process, using our expansive network, our database, of course, also looking at and doing a lot of deep dive research into what type of candidates are out there, what ones are looking, which ones aren't, researching them, seeing if they might be a good fit, looking at things like their history of projects, their salary, if we can find it, just to gauge whether or not they'll be a viable candidate. Also looking at social media, looking to see if there's anything that we need to let you know about or be aware of up front, whether it's good or bad. And then we contact them multiple times. No thank you is great, but we also ask them, do you know of anybody else that's interested? Is there anybody that we can speak to confidentially even? And also asking for feedback on what the brochure is. Is there content in there that you couldn't understand, or was there information that you don't qualify for? Is there something not appealing about it? So that we can modify our strategy as we go. But there's lots of communication, lots of feedback looping with our candidates and with you all, making sure that we're on top of it as we go. I think the labor market it can be volatile. I think we're seeing that in different places. I think there's some searches where we're seeing a lot of candidates and others not so much. And I think part of our obligation is to find out why that is, and then re-strategize with your partnership as we go. And really looking at the demographics of the city and other cities, people where they've worked, not just currently, but where they've worked in the past. Do they have more relevant experience over the years and not just where they're at now? Anything I didn't touch on, Pam?
And I would also add that recruitment process, really, a lot of that strategy comes out of those conversations that we're having with all of you. Are you looking for someone that has worked in a large university town? Are you looking for someone in a similar size organization? You've got 1,700 employees, $1 billion budget. So those are all of the things that we want to gather as well, because that really helps formulate that strategy for us doing that aggressive recruitment. And so those are all the types of things that go into it. I always say it's a spoke. And we have LinkedIn Recruiter, we have Zoom Info, which also has a diversity filter that we use quite often. And so, you are an activist community. You're dedicated to sustainability. You've been a green community. I would anticipate that there would be an awful lot of people that are interested in this role, and that I think we can, for Sacramento at this point, obviously it's a much larger organization, we have 92 applicants. So then the selection process, which is phase 3, we help you decide how that's going to be completed, whether you're going to have a smaller group, a selection committee of the council that we'd be interacting with on the first stages, maybe approving the recruitment materials, going through the first group of candidates that we would present to you, deciding who you'd like to interview. We are taking everything off your plate and HR's plate that we can. We consider this to be a white glove process, and so we provide all the materials, we help you come up with the questions, we do all the candidate contact, we facilitate all of those things, all the scheduling, etc. And then typically you would maybe do that semifinalist. Maybe you want to have community or some of the stakeholders in a panel, in a subject matter expert panel. We often do that where you have other local city managers participate, so you can get a some technical expertise to tell you they sit in that chair and to share with you what they think these candidates bring to the table. And so they are all, multi-factor selection processes in a situation like this as well. And we've managed many of those processes. We do very extensive media checks. We do social media checks. We do background check on the finalist candidate. We can do pieces of the background check. I believe that Oregon is a ban the box state, just as California is. And so you cannot do a criminal background check until you've made at least a verbal job offer. And so that has to wait for the final candidate. We talk to at least 6 people in the references. We want to do a 360 and speak with people that they've reported to, people that have reported to them, colleagues, because candidates oftentimes interact in different ways with all of those different stratas of their employees and reports. So, but I know we're bumping up against time, so we know you have some questions. So I will stop sharing and turn it over to you.
Thank you so much, Pam and Teddy. Thank you for that presentation. With that, I'll open the floor for council discussion, and a reminder that we have 1 minute and 30 seconds for each of these rounds from council. Councilor Clark.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm going to ask the same question I've spoken to others, to the same people, to these folks. Sorry, Pam and Teddy. Thank you very much for your presentation. And of the 9 of us that are on council and mayor, 2 of us have been through this process before of selecting a new city manager. The rest have not. From your experience and your perspective, what are the most important criteria that we should be using as judge of a new city manager, or the most important criteria factors from your point of view?
So obviously, I think for Eugene, you probably are looking for someone who's already been a city manager, or either a pretty long tenured assistant city manager in an organization at least as large, if not bigger. 180,000 people is a little bit more than a mid-size. There's only 300 cities across the country that are in over like 100,000. So, that's a conversation to have with you, obviously. I mean, some of that comes out of our conversations with you. We always believe that they need to understand budgets. Absolutely. We want to hear that they have, we want to talk to them about how they've interacted with staff. They have to manage up. I always say city manager is kind of the ultimate middle manager position. They're managing up to 10 people, 9 people, and then they have a staff of 1,700 through their assistant city managers and the department heads. We want to talk to them about, how they interact with those external stakeholders. I'm sure that there are many partnerships that you're working on. We want to, pardon me, I'm aphasic for a moment. We want to research that. What types of projects do you have coming up? Do they have background in those types of projects? Teddy, what are some of the other things that you would think?
Execution. I think a lot of times we ask people about what types of projects certain cities have had or clients, but really, did it get executed, and why or why not, and what was the role of the city manager in that? Because no one expects them to lead it all by themselves, but I do think it's important to know how involved they were on those. Also, going back to your first mention about not everybody on the council here has been through an executive recruitment, is I think that we take pride in that communication and education about the process and what we're doing and why. And I think that really will help everyone understand it more and not be surprised. It's very transparent, and then really help with any future recruitments as well.
And we also like to, so there's 7 to 8 of you that have not participated in this process previously. We would probably provide a sample ideal candidate profile to give you some ideas about those things before we even have the conversations with you. A sample brochure so that you've already seen those things and give you an idea of the questions we're going to ask you as well, so you're prepared to have that conversation with us.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Councillor Evans.
Yeah, thank you for the presentation. For some of us who are not familiar with HR jargon, what is a white glove process?
So it means that we're going to take this, as they say, from cradle to grave. And we want to take everything off your staff's plate as possible. And with city manager searches, oftentimes that is most of the process. Obviously, from them, we need things like job description, benefits, is there a current salary range, those things that help us put the recruitment brochure together, photos, etc. But really from then out, it depends on what the council decides. This is your recruitment. And so some cities will say, well, HR is going to be your main point of contact. With Sacramento, I'm working with the chief of staff as my main point of contact from the Personnel and Public Employee Committee. And that's my main point of contact. There has been some interaction with HR, but most of it has been through the chiefs of staff of all the mayor and council members. And so that's really what that white glove process is. And it doesn't just apply to the city council, it also applies to the candidates, because we want to make sure that the candidates have a great experience. And that I just told someone today, there's no better really thank you than if you get a thank you from a candidate that wasn't placed. And they say, it was a great process. I felt good about it. And I really appreciate you walking me through the process. And so between myself and Teddy, Fatima Nukic, who is not on the call, who is one of my HR consultants, who handles all of the logistics, I always say when you're talking to us in emails, etc., you're always CCing 2 of us so that nothing falls through the cracks, that we always we're responsive. We're tethered 24/7, frankly. And that means that, a lot of times I'm doing interviews on Saturday or Sunday with city managers. They're so busy that oftentimes it means adjusting to what their schedules are. And so that's what we really mean by that white glove process.
I appreciate the clarification.
Thank you all. Are there questions from council for this interview team? I will add one. Councillor Gross, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Pam and Teddy, for the presentation. What experience have you had in recruiting for a city manager in a university community?
So in a major university community, I really think Columbia, Missouri is pretty much the last one, because, Mizzou is a D1 school. Really everything in Columbia. They do have a couple of other colleges there, surprisingly, but everything surrounds that. And in that situation, we actually had spent 2 days there doing conversations with those external stakeholders. And then and of course it's, the 2 major journalism schools in the country are both the Columbias, Columbia, Mizzou, and then Columbia, New York. And so I was interviewed by Pug reporters I must have done 10 or 12 interviews with reporters, and so, but that was, I think we ended up totaling 75 conversations over the couple of days between two of us that we split it up. So there was so much engagement. I will say that I think some of the biggest work we've done is we've worked with Berkeley for years, police chief, public works director, finance director, etc. And police chief in particular is probably the closest thing that you'll do to a city manager. And in fact, it oftentimes is much more complicated. We had, I want to say we did 3 or 4 panels for the first round because you have to involve labor, you had to involve, department heads, and then there were external stakeholders, there were nonprofit groups. And in Berkeley, of course, again, like Eugene, you're talking about a very activist type of community that's very involved. And I did city attorney as well. And they really wanted someone to be from a major university. So we had the top 100 universities in the country that we made sure we reached out to every one of those city attorneys. And that's what I would anticipate would happen in this as well. And that's part of that research that we need to do. We still have that list, obviously, of those cities. It could have changed a little bit over the years, but many of those major universities are in California, and we've worked with most of the UC cities. Sacramento obviously is a CSU city, but we've worked in Davis quite a bit, Santa Barbara, Irvine, Riverside. So most of the UC cities as well. But I do think city manager wise, as far as just being very highly visible, a lot of media presence was in Columbia.
Thank you. And also, are you seeing a strong, how's the market situated with quality candidates right now? I know kind of ebbs and flows.
It does ebb and flow. I do think that Eugene is a very attractive opportunity for people. These mid-sized cities are more attractive, obviously, than, Sacramento is 500,000 people. They have a $75 million, budget deficit, structural budget deficit at the moment. But even with that, we've attracted some very strong candidates. And I would anticipate that Eugene, obviously, Oregon is now my second home. I'm native Californian, and I know sometimes that's a bad thing, but I just think that we're not going to have an issue attracting great candidates to this position. And whether, we need to look at diversity, I think, obviously we need to look at those, cities and the demographics, et cetera. But I do think that we can attract a very good quality group of candidates. Teddy, anything you'd like to add to that?
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Councilors, any other questions? Pam, your answer just answered the question I was going to ask.
Oh, okay.
So thank you for that other information about current work and context. Seeing no other questions from council, I will just thank you, Pam and Teddy, for your time here today. Thank you for your team at CPSHR's time and investment in this interview process. We appreciate it and appreciate the opportunity to learn more about your work today. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We greatly appreciate the opportunity and look forward to hopefully working with all of you. So thank you so much.
Christy, I'll hand it back to you, Assistant City Manager.
Thank you, Mayor. I think that our Bob Murray and Associates friends are logging in. I see Jeff. Hi, Jeff.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Are you ready for us to turn it over to you?
Valerie's going to be here any second. She has the presentation.
Excellent. We'll give that a minute. And just a reminder, the interview total time is 30 minutes. And when you have about 3 minutes left, we'll give you a heads up so that you don't run out of time. And looking forward to having some ample time for our counselors and mayor to ask questions as well.
Great.
Great to see you again.
Jeff, we are about a minute and a half or two early, so not to worry in terms of timing.
Thank you, Mayor.
Hi, Valerie.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yep, I will. Mayor, did you have any other
I
ads?
do not, and we're at time. We're right near, so ready to start.
Perfect. I'll
Thank you.
turn it over to Valerie and Jeff. Thank you.
All right. I'll introduce myself quickly. I'm Valerie Gaeta Phillips, owner and president, executive recruiter for Bob Murray and Associates. And joining me is Jeff Morey, another executive recruiter located up in Vancouver. And I had a quick PowerPoint presentation that I can fly through pretty quickly, if that's okay, if I can share my screen.
Please, thank you.
Okay, so I don't know if I have the ability to share yet. Let me try this. Okay. Let's see. Can you see it?
We can see that there it is.
Okay.
Yeah, nearly there. There's a little bit of a lag. I think also a little bit of a lag on your video, just so you know.
Okay, sorry about that.
Okay.
Okay, fantastic. So again, Valerie Phillips, Bob Murray and Associates. We are headquartered out of California, but we have satellite offices in Vancouver, Austin, Texas, the Bay Area, Sacramento, Orange County, Los Angeles, and the Central Valley of California. Quickly. Okay, just a little bit about our firm. Over 25 years of experience. Most recently placed 40 city managers in the last 2 years. We, really, our process includes seeking a deep understanding of the issues and challenges that our clients face. We're with you from beginning to end. We're kind of guiding and facilitating the process, making recommendations on, some of the steps that we've taken with other clients that worked really well. I've just most recently conducted the city manager as well as the deputy city manager search for the city of Vancouver. Lots of stakeholder input. So we can offer up different ideas and things that we've done with other clients and really tailor the search to what our clients' needs are. So just because we did that with Vancouver doesn't mean we have to do it with you. Just because I did it, with the city of Reno doesn't, we really tailor the search. We listen to what it is council and councilors are looking for, what the community's expectations may be, and we really kind of tailor this search, whether it's listening sessions, surveys, on-site with the executive team listening, or is it going to be Zoom? We really can tailor it, lay out a timeline with all the milestones in advance so that you get to see, okay, these are the things that are going to be happening over the next few weeks. A typical recruitment is, 14 to 16 weeks for city manager. And I touched on meeting with internal and external stakeholders. I personally feel that's important, but really it's up to my client. If you feel that that's important, we include that and build that into the process. We also offer up an option for an assessment, Clifton Strength Finder. DEIB is a core value of my firm, Latina-owned business. It's something that's just really important to me. It's resonated with me my whole life. And we've got about 45,000 followers on social media. And I'll touch on that and why that's important in the next slide or two. These are just some of our success stories. Most recently for the city of Eugene, we placed your public works director about 1.5 years ago. Like I mentioned, Vancouver, city of Reno, Louisville, and I bring up Louisville, Reno, Vancouver, and we even have Sparks included in here because those were open processes. So very different than a city manager recruitment in California. So I think it's important to have had that experience. A lot of big cities, even most recently conducted a police chief recruitment for the city of LA, working with Mayor Bass, also a police chief recruitment for the city of San Diego. I know those aren't city manager recruitments, but heavy involvement with stakeholders and the community. I think with San Diego, we had the 9 districts, we had in-person, listening sessions, almost like a town hall meeting. I know for Laguna Beach, we did it via Zoom. So we offered 3 sessions. I know Vancouver, I did a lot of listening with the executive team on a Zoom, and then with staff, we offered up a couple different Zoom options for them to drop in and we could listen. So I just wanted to list a few of the kind of bigger cities that we've done recruitments for us, as well as some smaller ones and some very highly political recruitments as well. So when I mentioned DEIB, this is something that I'm really proud of. I bought the firm from Bob Murray about 12 years ago, and the firm looked very different back then. I mean, I feel like we took something that was great and made it even better. And I'm very proud of this. You know, in fact, we did an audit of our last 100 searches, recruitments, and I'm proud to say that 50% of our placements were women. It did not look like that 12 years ago when I bought the firm. So, you know, times have changed. It's something that's really important to me. The outreach is key. We have such a vast network. We have over 50,000 applicants in our database, and we have 7,000 folks that subscribe to our newsletter, monthly newsletter. And we have close to about 45,000 folks, like I mentioned, on social media. And that's such an important tool that we utilize because it gives us access to all the different affinity groups, whether it's Civic Pride or National Forum for Black Public Administrators, Asian Professionals in Government, Women League of Government. It's something we take seriously for every recruitment, even if it isn't something that's a priority to our clients. So it's in the forefront of all of our recruitments, the outreach, and all of our recruiters and our staff have been trained in conducting outreach to all the different groups so that it is an inclusive process. The next slide here. There we go. Okay, so quickly the process. We collaborate with you, other key stakeholders to develop the ideal candidate. We gain the agreement on final recruiting materials as well as the process. Define the parameters of public engagement. You know, we start a broad search process leveraging vast social media that I just mentioned. It is a nationwide recruitment, but a lot of the focus is going to be with cities that are kind of similar and maybe have the same kind of core values that Eugene has. You know, it doesn't make sense necessarily to bring someone who's coming from a very different type of organization. It just depends on the candidate, and we really try to vet that out. But it's a nationwide recruitment. You know, we maintain steady communication. So it's that customer service. You'll always know what's happening in the recruitment, whether we're working with an ad hoc committee or the full group of you. We provide that weekly update. I'm pretty good about staying up Friday nights and making sure that all my clients have an update on the recruitment. You know, how many candidates have applied? What kind of feedback are we getting? That excites me. So I love giving that feedback. It's typically good news. Once in a while, we'll have a search that can drag a little longer, and maybe it's just competitive in the sense that compensation isn't high enough or whatever it may be. But I do offer that kind of feedback that I'm getting from potential candidates to my clients so that they're aware. And like I mentioned, it's a 14 to 16 week recruitment process. This isn't everybody from our firm. We've got about 15, but I wanted to let you know that's me. That's Jeff Morey. Gary Phillips is my husband. We own the firm together, but technically I am his boss. And Alexandra Kopak, it'd be myself. I'd be the lead recruiter. Jeff is supporting me because he's local in Vancouver and knows a lot of folks in the region. Even though he's a retired police chief, he knows a lot of their city managers and deputy city managers. Like I mentioned, Gary Phillips, and then Alexandra's the administrative assistant in-house here in California, who's going to be kind of working with me, you know, shoulder to shoulder, putting together the brochure, the marketing materials, placing ads, all that kind of good stuff. And then I listed a couple of our recruiters down below, and I do this because Yasmin Beers is a retired city manager from the city of Glendale. She's heavily involved in ICMA. Same with Stephanie Dietz. She didn't retire. She just semi-retired after 3 years at the city of Merced as a city manager in the Central Valley. And Stacy Stevenson retired from the city of Marietta and now lives in San Diego area. And she was the deputy city manager there. All three of these women are rock stars and have such a vast network in the city manager world. So I just wanted to touch on that. And then lastly, my last slide, just, you know, thank you for considering my firm and love to take any questions you might have.
Thank you so much, Valerie, for that presentation and introduction to your work. now open the floor for council discussion, and a reminder that these rounds are limited to 1 minute and 30 seconds. Questions from council for this team? Councilor Groves.
Thank you, Mayor. And thank you very much, Valerie, for the presentation. Jeff, it's nice to meet you as well. What experience specifically around university communities have you had in recruitments?
So there are numerous cities. We've got Irvine that we place the city manager, UC Irvine, Santa Clara University, private Catholic. Trying to think of a few others. I know there's more, and that wasn't a question I was anticipating, so I should have been prepared for that. But, you know, numerous cities in California have universities that we've conducted city manager recruitments for. And that makes those cities are the most fun because, you know, they're most vibrant and economically tend to be doing a little better than a lot of other cities. And so I think it does draw in folks. Another one, Davis. My husband's conducting Davis city manager recruitment, and they have UC Davis. So we're getting folks that their children are applying for those schools, and so they're thinking, oh, maybe I can follow my kiddo to you know that university. So we got a lot of folks that their kids attend your school there. Go Ducks.
Thank you. Well, I saw some other university cities, but I've asked that question of the other ones, so I'm trying to be consistent in the questions. And then add a question about what you are seeing in the way of strength of market with interested city manager candidates.
So it really ebbs and flows, but I'll tell you the days when I started working for Bob about almost 15 years ago, and we would have a city manager recruitment, we would receive 80 to 90 applicants for it. Now for city manager recruitments, and it really doesn't matter so much the size of the city, what we're seeing is typically 30 to 40. That's quite a difference. And I can speak to that. What I think the reasoning is because a lot of the baby boomers have retired out, and there's a lot of phenomenal city managers that have retired out, and that wave continues. So the candidate pools are smaller. How does that impact our recruitments? It really doesn't, in the sense that we are really aggressive recruiters. My background is the private sector. Prior to working for Bob, I worked in the private sector, and I bring it up all the time because I had to be a true, the term is headhunter. You had to go after people. You really did. It was uber competitive. And so I've taken that skill set and brought it to Bob Murray & Associates and really elevated our process using social media and technology. We have a really robust database. In fact, we're updating it, and we're using some AI and the technology on our database for candidates. So we're always embracing that and looking forward. But recruitments, you know, what I've seen typically that I tend to bring forward for city manager, GM, executive director recruitments is 6 to 7 candidates that we've, you know, look really good. We may get 30 that apply. I may screen 10 or 12 and then recommend or bring forward those candidates and say, these are the ones that rose to the top. But 6 or 7 candidates. For an open process, it may be slightly less, or you guys may take it down before we actually go public. You know, that process we'll work on with you. It was very different in Vancouver versus Sparks versus Reno and how we address that.
Well, I appreciate that, and I'm hoping you get out there and shake some trees. This is one of the most important hires we're going to be making, and these are extraordinary times we're living in right now. And having a steady hand at the helm is going to be very important for the success of our community. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Councilor Clark.
Thank you, Mayor. Valerie, Jeff, thank you for the presentation, and it's very nice to meet you. Of the 9 of us that will be making the final decision, 2 of us have been through a city manager search previously. The rest have not. What would you recommend to us as the most important criteria, or some of the most important criteria to think about when making that final selection?
So, you know, I think what's important when I kick off a search, it's with each of you individually, and it's kind of my listening session with you. Sometimes that's only 15 minutes. Sometimes it can be a full hour. We offer up as much time as you need. And I try to find out a little bit about each of you individually, why you serve, because I'm always in awe of people who do. So a little bit about your background, and then what do you see as some of those opportunities and challenges facing the city and the organization? What can you tell me, or what can you share about the culture? Not just the culture internal, but external. I think those are really important. And then that skill set, what kind of resume are you looking for? Are you looking for only somebody who's been a city manager? Are you open to somebody who's the number 2 with a big city? So knowing all that up front, then we build the marketing materials. And then when I bring you the finalists, the candidates, I remind you, okay, this is what I heard during the kickoff meeting. These were the attributes you shared. This was the type of experience you're looking for. And these are the candidates. I brought you a bunch of unicorns. Now let's sit down and interview them and really kind of vet those candidates out, because they may all look similar on paper, but it's really going to come down to, what's the best fit for your organization. And so I really try to guide you through that process. I think the interview questions are important. I think not just the technical questions, but it's those emotional intelligence questions, those soft skill type questions, I think are even more important than the technical. I'm not going to bring you someone who hasn't, helped run a city or run a city. They're going to have the technical chops. But what's their communication style like? How do they empower staff? How do they motivate? How do they build morale? It's a huge change, not just for elected officials, big hire, but staff. It's to help alleviate those woes. You want to make sure you find someone who's an empathetic leader, who shares the core values of Eugene. So I think all of that, I've thrown a lot at you right now, but I'm really going to help to guide you through that process. And I think that when we get down to the final interviews, those types of questions you're going to be asking are going to be really key.
Councillor Clark, if I could also just offer some suggestions.
Yeah.
The best city managers I've worked for or I collaborated with had these soft skills to help bring the temperature down in a room where chaos was starting to erupt. People that have a history of doing that, I think, make great city managers. The other quality that I found very important are people who are coalition builders. Eugene, Lane County, Springfield, it was a core of your metro area down there, and someone's going to need to be able to be familiar with that and help all boats rise at the same level while keeping a very sharp focus on the needs of the city of Eugene. So just some quick little things that I thought I'd offer.
Thanks, guys. Great answers.
Councillor Evans.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Jeff and Valerie and Jeff, for the presentation. I noticed in your materials that you had an emphasis on internal and external outreach. Can you talk a little bit more about what those outreach processes look like, and what is the difference between an internal outreach versus an external outreach from your perspective?
Okay, happy to do so. So that the internal is pretty, straightforward. Typically what I do is I meet with the executive team together. Sometimes I'll offer up if there's someone on the executive team that wants to just speak to me one-on-one, kind of that cone of silence, but just kind of offer their thoughts. So I do that. And then I also do what I call like a brown bag lunch or breakfast, which I've done for a few cities. I offer up something super early in the morning because there's code enforcement, police, fire that have different hours, and so I offer up something super early in the morning. It's 1 hour at Zoom. Stop by, have a cup of coffee with a recruiter, ask questions, offer up your thoughts on what you're looking for in your next city manager, talk about the culture. So I have a few, maybe 2 or 3 set questions I ask them, and then I listen and I take my notes. What I do with that, the information I get from the executive team as well as the staff, is I put together a summary for council to review. Now, I don't say, hey, your police chief said this and your public works director said that. It isn't like that. It's just a summary of kind of what I heard so that you guys are fully aware as well. We do offer up helping work usually with HR or your communications team, putting together a survey, and I think you guys have a really good, base for that already for folks. So externally, the survey can go out to folks, your community. But I also offer up listening sessions. It can be in person, it can be in Zoom, it can be a combination of that. And it's almost like a town hall meeting. But I'll also look to council to tell me, hey, Valerie, really want you to meet with this group, whether it's a nonprofit, maybe it's the chamber, maybe a downtown association, maybe it's the school. And I did that for a couple of my recruitments, and I met with all the different stakeholders. We broke it up, put like 4 in each of the meetings. And again, was another listening session. And I just summarized my notes and provided that to my client. So we tailor it to what you guys want. I'm going to look to you to tell me who you want me to meet with. I don't want to take it upon myself to know who you guys want me to meet with, but you tend to be a very inclusive and open city in my opinion. So I'm going to imagine there's going to be quite a few stakeholder groups that you might want the recruiters to meet with, and more than happy to do so. Again, whether it's in person, on site somewhere at City Hall or somewhere else, or a Zoom meeting.
Thank you. Other questions from council for this team? Okay. Seeing none, I will just say thank you to Valerie and Jeff and the rest of your team at Bob Murray and Associates. We really appreciate this time today and the opportunity to learn more about your work and the insights that you've shared. So thank you for this discussion.
All right, fantastic. Thank you. Thank you for considering us. Have a great day.
Okay. Hi, everyone. So time check, we're at about 1:20 right now, and we're now moving on to general council discussion and deliberations for this topic. A lot of great information and insight shared through this series of 3 interviews. I want to take a moment also to thank council again and the members of council who have participated in the process to bring us to this point and this point in discussion, and also thank all of the teams for sharing ideas and answering the questions today in this interview format. With our goal of coming to a conclusion at the end of this meeting and being able to work pretty intensively throughout council break towards our schedule and this continued recruitment process, we are going to have rounds, and the thought would be to limit this first round to 1 minute and hear from council thoughts on certainly this touch point in the interview process, but also your thoughts about preferences and sort of first, second, and third position for coming out of the interview discussion. So that's our thought. We're doing okay on time, so no need to feel rushed, but we are moving towards a decision point today and being able to continue with this recruitment. So with that, I will open discussion and rounds. And who would like to offer first thoughts? Councilor Zelenka.
Sure, thanks. All 3 of them could do the job. They're all very well qualified. I didn't find much differentiation on price or process or marketing. They're all pretty much equal on that. So then it came down to me like what experience do they have doing what we want them to do, which is go get a city manager for us or help us get a city manager. So I looked at who had the most experience doing city manager recruitments and what their market was. Most of them had the same market, which is mostly California and Oregon and Washington and some Nevada. So that wasn't too much of a differentiator. But and then who did I feel like would give us, who would I feel the most comfortable with? And so I ended up with Bob Murray as number 1, WBCP as number 3, and CPS as number 3. WBCP as number 2, CPS as 3. I felt really comfortable that they had hired our public works director, and that ended up being a great hire. So I'm very comfortable with Jeff and Valerie, especially Valerie.
Thank you, Councilor. Very appreciated. Councilor Clark.
In this strange change of events, I agree entirely with Councilor Zelenka in his order of preference. I'm I have hesitancy making a decision without Lindsay on this. And I wonder if we could just name, because I don't remember who the 4 counselors were who went through the process of looking at everyone. I know Greg did, but I think Lindsay, but I don't know.
And me, Lindsay, and Greg and Jennifer.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Clark. Councillor Ye.
Yeah, thanks. And that was a great question about Lindsay. And I think, you know, from our discussion, we all agreed that any of these 3, we were very confident in these 3 being our top choices, and we were confident any of them could do the job. So I feel like Lindsay is probably very confident that we can make a decision. My 3 were very similar to the other folks. I liked them in backwards order. So Bob Murray, CPS, and WBC. But so far, we all like the same one the most. So that's we're on a roll. So I'm curious to see what other people thought, though.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Kaczynski.
Well, I'll just sort of second or fourth at this point. That sort of order of Bob Murray being the one that stood out the most, I think, particularly having worked with them in the past and having worked successfully with them in the past. That's always a good sign. And then, you know, the other 2, I feel like CPS has done larger recruitments for larger cities, but you know, I think that, you know, if we get to that point, we can talk about which one's second versus third for me.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Groves.
Thank you, Mayor. I would agree, Bob Murray. I pegged CPS as second and WBC as third, but again, I think any of them could do the job. To me, it was just more scope and magnitude and scale, and I think the Murray firm has the most experience, especially with large, medium to large communities, which I think just fits in. And plus, they have quite a few large universities that they've worked with, and you know, our U of O is a big part of this community. So anyway, and you know, again, this is my first time as a counselor with a city manager recruitment process, but I've watched Bob Murray's group before work. They've done a lot of city recruitments, and I have been involved in other city manager processes. So as a staff person, thank you. And my time is up.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Keating.
Thank you, Mayor. I concur with my colleagues. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. The work that Bob Murray has done with us and in our community is strong. So I support the I support everything I'm hearing. If I had to give an order, I think Councillor Ye's order that she gave represents where I'm at. She was on that committee and did that work, and I also concur that these are all highly qualified. You know, I would trust, I don't want to speak for Councillor Leach, but I would trust that she would be pleased with the direction where council is going today.
Thank you, Councillor. And Councillor Evans, I would love to hear your thoughts, and then also that I think we'll wrap up this round, and if you're comfortable moving forward and putting a motion onto the table, would also welcome that.
Yeah, I'll say this. You know, my top 2 coming out of the initial round of interviews was Bob Murray and WCP. WBC partially because, you know, I did serve on League of Oregon Cities with Christy Worcester, who is part of that team and has been a city manager before. And a lot of experience in Oregon. But when I go back to my initial ratings, and I didn't hear WBC's presentation for technical difficulties, I could live with us going with Bob Murray and Associates, because I only had them as being 2 points difference between them and WBC. So if folks are good with that, and I'm kind of hearing the consensus that Bob Murray and Associates may be our front-running candidate. I think that I'm prepared to put forward a motion.
Thank you, Councillor. Please.
So, let me go ahead, Mayor.
Yes, please, Councillor Evans. Thank you.
All right. Move to select Bob Murray and Associates to conduct this Eugene City Manager recruitment process in accordance with the terms of a contract negotiated and executed by Central Services Manager, Central Services Director Mia Carrion.
Second. Thank you. Any additional discussion from council? Seeing none, I'll now take a vote for this motion. All in favor? Seeing one, sorry. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 in favor and 0 opposed. And that motion passes with a vote of 7-0. Thank you all so much. Thank you to council, to council committee, to staff, and also to all of the teams and professionals who took time to talk with us today in this conversation. This is incredibly important work for our community, and we are looking forward to moving into the next steps and phases with this process. This will occupy a lot of attention and is a critical decision point coming into these next several months. So we'll look forward to that continued work. And with that, I will now close the July 9th, 2025 City Council work session. Thank you all. We are adjourned.